I was already making the call when my daughter was still talking. She didn't hear the click of my laptop opening. She didn't see my finger hovering over the confirm booking button. Emily thought this was a conversation, but I'd stopped negotiating the moment she said those 3 words. "You're retired anyway." "Mom, are you even listening to me?" Emily's voice crackled through the phone, that edge of impatience she'd developed somewhere between her MBA and her second child. "I'm listening, sweetheart. I just wasn't agreeing, not this time." "So, it's settled then. Brian and I will drop off Lily and baby James Monday morning. 7 o'clock sharp. We both have early meetings." I looked around my kitchen. The morning sun was hitting the new curtains I'd just hung last week. Yellow ones, cheerful. Nothing like the heavy drapes Tom had preferred. I'd spent 2 years in this house learning to be alone, learning to be myself again. And now Emily wanted to fill it with diaper bags and baby monitors and her opinions about how I should spend every waking hour. "Emily, we should talk about this." "We are talking about it. Mom, this is what family does. Brian's mother would do it in a heartbeat if she lived closer. You're literally 15 minutes away, and you're home all day." Home all day. As if retirement meant I'd cease to exist, cease to have a life. As if the 64 years I'd lived, the 40 years I'd spent as a nurse, the 2 years I'd spent caring for Tom through cancer, had all been preparation for this, unpaid, full-time childcare. "How many days a week are we talking about?" I asked, though I already knew. I'd heard it 3 times now. Each time, Emily made it sound more reasonable, more inevitable. Monday through Friday. 7 to 6:30. Maybe 7 some nights if Brian has late meetings. It's just until Lily starts kindergarten. Well, and until James is old enough for preschool. So maybe 4 years? 5 at most. 5 years. I'd be nearly 70. Tom and I had talked about these years. The travel we'd do, the volunteering, the garden I'd finally have time to cultivate properly. He'd made me promise, in those last lucid weeks, that I wouldn't stop living after he was gone. "Emily, I love Lily and James more than anything. You know that. Then what's the problem?" "Mom, daycare costs $1,800 a month. Per child. That's $3,600 a month. We can't afford that on top of the mortgage and Brian's student loans." There it was. Not would you help us, but you have to help us because we can't afford not to use you. Have you looked into the daycare subsidy programs? Or maybe adjusting your schedules so one of you could Mom. Seriously? You want me to quit my job? After everything I've worked for? After you always told me to be independent? The guilt trip. I recognized it because I'd taught her the move myself, decades ago. The difference was I'd used it sparingly. Emily wielded it like a weapon. "I'm not asking you to quit your job." "Then what are you asking? Because it sounds like you're saying no to your own grandchildren. It sounds like you're saying your book club and your yoga classes are more important than family." I closed my eyes. This was the moment. This was where I either caved, like I had with so many things over the years, or where I stood firm. But Emily wasn't done. "You know what? Never mind, I'll figure it out, I always do. I just thought, after Dad died and you said you felt so alone, that you'd want to spend time with the kids. I thought you'd want to feel needed again. But clearly I was wrong." The line went dead. I sat there in my sunny kitchen with my cheerful yellow curtains and my coffee going cold, and I thought about Emily as a little girl, the way she'd curl up in my lap after a nightmare, the way she'd hold my hand crossing the street even when she was too old for it, the way she'd cried in my arms when her first boyfriend broke her heart. When had we become this? When had love become leverage? My laptop was still open. The confirmation page was still waiting. I'd opened it during Emily's 3rd call last week, the one where she'd first mentioned just until kindergarten. I'd known then what I knew now. This wasn't a request. This was an assumption, an expectation, an entitlement. I clicked the button. "Booking confirmed," the screen read. "Your Alaska cruise departs September 15th. 14 days. Vancouver to Seward." September 15th. That was 12 days from now. Exactly 4 days after Emily planned to drop the children off for good. I should have felt guilty. I should have felt like a terrible mother, a terrible grandmother. But all I felt was a strange, light sensation in my chest, like I could breathe fully for the first time in months. My phone buzzed. A text from Emily. "Sorry for snapping. Stressed. Will you help us? Please?" I looked at that, please, the word she should have led with instead of ended with. The word that might have made all the difference if it had come before the assumptions, before the guilt trips, before the casual dismissal of my entire life. I typed, "We need to talk. Can you come over this evening?" Without the kids. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Can't tonight. Brian's working late and I have the kids. Tomorrow? Tomorrow at 6. Just you." "Fine." I set the phone down and looked at my cruise confirmation again. 14 days. Glaciers and whales in silence. Tom and I had always planned to take this trip. We'd had the brochures, the itinerary half planned. Then came the diagnosis, and cruise ships were replaced with chemo suites. "Live for both of us," he'd said near the end. "Don't let them turn you into just a caretaker again. You've done your time, Maggie. Live." I'd promised. Standing at his grave 2 years ago, I'd promised. Tomorrow, I'd tell Emily the truth, and then I'd start packing. The next evening, Emily arrived at 6:15, already irritated. She'd texted 3 times about traffic, about James's diaper blowout right before she left, about how Brian was useless with the kids. I'd made coffee, set out the good cookies, the ones from the bakery she liked, created the stage for disappointment. "Thanks for making time," I said as she collapsed onto my couch, the same couch I'd reupholstered in teal last spring. Tom would have hated the color. I loved it. "I have maybe 30 minutes before I need to get back. James won't take a bottle from Brian." She was already scrolling her phone, half present. "Emily, put the phone down, please." She looked up, surprised. I didn't usually use that tone. The nurse voice Tom used to call it, the one that meant business. "Okay," she said it face down on the couch. "What's going on? You're freaking me out. I'm not going to be able to watch Lily and James." Silence. The kind that fills up the room and presses on your chest. "What do you mean you're not going to be able to?" "Mom, we already pulled Lily from her current daycare. I gave notice. Brian's mother can't." "You pulled her from daycare before confirming with me?" "You said maybe. You said we'd work it out." "No, Emily. You said we'd work it out. I said we needed to talk about it. There's a difference." Her face was reddening. I recognized that look. It was the same look she'd had at 13 when I wouldn't let her go to that party, at 16 when I'd kept her from dating that boy with the motorcycle. "I can't believe this. I cannot believe you're doing this to me." "I'm not doing anything to you. I'm simply saying I can't commit to full-time childcare. Can't or won't. Both." She stood up. "You know what? Fine. I'll figure it out myself. I always do. But don't expect me to just bring the kids around whenever it's convenient for you. Don't expect to be grandma of the year when you can't even help us when we need it. Emily, sit down." "No, I'm done. I thought you'd changed after Dad died. I thought you'd learned what's important, but you're still the same selfish person you always were." That word, selfish. It hung in the air like smoke. "Your father and I raised you," I said quietly. "We paid for your college, your wedding, your down payment on your house. I spent 40 years as a nurse, most of that time working nights so I could be home with you during the day. I spent 2 years watching your father die, and not once did I ask you to adjust your life to help me with his care. So don't you dare call me selfish for wanting to live the final decades of my life on my own terms." Emily's eyes were wet. "I just need help, Mom. I'm drowning." And there it was. The truth underneath the entitlement. "I know, sweetheart. But the help you need isn't me sacrificing my life. It's you and Brian figuring out a sustainable solution." "Like what? Daycare we can't afford?" "There are options. Part-time schedules. One of you working from home more. Daycare subsidies. Hiring a nanny and splitting costs with another family. Your company has on-site childcare, doesn't it? With a 2-year wait list. Then you get on the wait list and find something temporary. You could be the temporary solution. For 5 years? Emily, I'm 64. In 5 years, I'll be nearly 70. What if my health changes? What if I can't keep up with a 3-year-old and a kindergartner? What then?" She didn't have an answer for that. She never did when confronted with the reality that I wasn't immortal, wasn't infinite. "I love those babies," I continued. "And I will help. I can do Wednesdays. I can do date nights. I can do emergencies. But I can't be your full-time free childcare. Wednesdays." She said it like I'd offered her a piece of stale bread. "1 day a week, and I'm available for backup when they're sick or you have a conflict. That's it? That's all you're willing to give?" "That's what I'm able to give without losing myself." Emily grabbed her purse. "I have to go. Think about what I said." "Oh, I will, trust me." The door closed harder than necessary, not quite a slam but close. I sat in the silence of my teal living room and waited to feel guilty. I'd spent so much of my life feeling guilty. Guilty for working too much, for not working enough, for being too strict, too lenient, too present, too absent. Guilty for not being able to fix Tom's cancer, for surviving when he didn't, for wanting a life after grief. But the guilt didn't come. Just that light feeling again. That breath of air. I picked up my phone and called my sister, Carol. "She took it that well, huh?" Carol said after I'd explained. She'd warned me about Emily's expectations weeks ago. She called me selfish. Of course she did. Maggie, you spent your whole life being available. She doesn't know any other version of you. She'll adjust. What if she doesn't? What if she really does keep the kids from me? Then she learns a harder lesson. But she won't. Emily's dramatic, but she's not cruel. She just needs time to realize the world doesn't revolve around her needs. When did parenting adults become harder than parenting toddlers? Carol laughed. Around the time they developed the ability to make you feel guilty with their words instead of their tears. Speaking of which, are we still on for Alaska? I'd invited Carol on the cruise. Tom's life insurance had left me comfortable, and my sister had recently retired from teaching. We'd been planning the trip since spring. We're on September 15th, 12 days from now. Does Emily know? Not yet. Oh, Maggie, you're braver than me. Or more foolish. Same thing sometimes. For 3 days, Emily didn't call, didn't text. I knew from her Facebook posts that she was frantically interviewing daycares, posting in mom groups about emergency childcare options, complaining about unsupportive family members in thinly veiled status updates. I didn't reach out. I'd said what I needed to say. The ball was in her court. On the 4th day, she called. "Mom. Hi, sweetheart. I found a daycare. They have 2 spots. It's not as nice as the one we toured, but it's available and it's only $1,600 a month. For both kids." That's good, Emily. It's not good, it's depressing. The room smells like old carpets, and they don't have an outdoor play area, and the provider is about 100 years old. Does she have good references? Yeah. Great ones, actually. The kids all seem happy. It's just not what I wanted. What we want and what's available are often different things. Silence. Then. Are you really going to stick to just Wednesdays? Yes. More silence. I could hear James babbling in the background, that sweet nonsense language of babies. I'm going back to work Monday. Brian's taking the day off to do the daycare transition. That's good. Lily will adjust faster with one of you there the first day. You could come, help with the transition. Emily. I know. Just thought I'd try. A pause. I'm still mad at you. I know. But I need you to watch them Wednesday. The daycare is closed for some holiday I've never heard of. I'll be there. What time? 7:30? I'll be there at 7:15. Thanks, Mom. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't acceptance. But it was a start. That Wednesday, I showed up at Emily's house with a bag of activities and snacks. Lily ran to me with her arms wide open, nearly knocking me over. "Grandma, we're going to have the best day." We absolutely are. What do you want to do? Everything. James was sitting in his bouncer, all gummy smiles and drool. I picked him up, felt his solid weight against my chest, smelled that particular baby smell of milk and soap and pure innocence. Emily was watching from the kitchen doorway, already dressed for work. "You're sure you've got this?" James needs a bottle every 3 hours. Lily doesn't nap anymore, but she needs quiet time after lunch, or she's a monster by dinner. There's a list on the counter. Emily, I raised you. I've got this. Right. Sorry. She kissed both kids, grabbed her bag. At the door, she turned back. Mom? Yeah? Thank you. You're welcome, sweetheart. After she left, Lily grabbed my hand. Grandma, can we make cookies? We absolutely can. But first, let's go to the park. I have a picnic basket in my car. We spent the morning at the park, Lily racing around the playground while I pushed James in the baby swing. We had sandwiches under a tree. We went back to Emily's house for quiet time and bottles and cookies in the oven. By the time Emily got home at 6, both kids were fed, bathed, and in pajamas. Mom, you didn't have to do all this. I wanted to. This is what grandma days are for. Making memories, not just babysitting. She looked around her clean kitchen, at her happy children, at me. Really looked, maybe for the first time in months. You seem different, she said. I feel different. Because of Dad? Because of me. I spent 2 years disappearing into grief. And then I realized grief was becoming my identity, so I decided to live again. Emily sat down at the kitchen table. I joined her. I've been so focused on survival, she said quietly. Getting through each day, managing the chaos. I didn't realize I was trying to make you part of that chaos. You're doing the best you can, but Emily, my job isn't to save you from your choices. You chose this life. The career, the kids, the house in the suburbs, those are beautiful choices. But they're yours to manage. I just see you with all this free time and I think about how I'm drowning and it seems so unfair. I don't have free time. I have my time. There's a difference. This time was earned. 40 years of work. 2 years of watching your father die. I've paid my dues. Where did my mom go? The one who always helped? She's right here. Just with better boundaries. Emily laughed, unexpected and genuine. Dad would love this version of you. He's the one who told me to find her. We sat there while Lily chattered about her day, and James grabbed at the toy keys on the table. This was what family should be, not obligation and resentment and scorekeeping, just presence, just love. Mom, did you really mean it about date nights and emergencies? Absolutely. Can I call you Friday? Brian and I haven't been out together in 6 months. Call me. I'll be there. I left Emily's house that night feeling lighter than I had in years. I'd stood my ground and the world hadn't ended. Emily hadn't kept the kids from me. She just had to adjust her expectations, her plans, her vision of who I was supposed to be. That Friday, I watched the kids while Emily and Brian went to dinner. The following Wednesday, I was there again. Wednesdays became our day. Lily called them Grandma Days. Emily called them her sanity savers. And I called them exactly what they were. Enough. The Sunday before my cruise, I invited Emily and Brian and the kids for dinner. I'd told Emily I was going away but hadn't given details. Time for that conversation. After dinner, while Brian watched the kids in the living room, Emily and I cleaned up the kitchen together. So where are you going? She asked, scraping plates. Alaska. 2-week cruise. Your Aunt Carol and I are leaving Friday. Her hands stopped moving. 2 weeks? 14 days. It's the trip your father and I always planned. That's amazing, Mom, she said it carefully, like she was testing out sincerity. I need you to know why I'm going. Because you want to? Because I need to. Emily, after your father died, I forgot how to be a person. I was just widow, just grief, just that woman everyone felt sorry for. The cruise is me remembering I'm still Margaret, still alive, still here. I'm happy for you, really. And this time she meant it. Will you send pictures? So many pictures. Get ready for whale spam. She laughed. Can I ask you something? Always. Were you ever going to say yes? To watching the kids full time? I thought about lying, making it easier. But Emily deserved the truth. No. I knew the moment you asked that I couldn't do it. But I had to figure out how to say no without losing you. You couldn't lose me, Mom. You told me I was selfish. Threatened to keep the kids away. She winced. I was panicking. And scared. And I took it out on you. I'm sorry. There it was. The apology I'd been waiting for. I'm sorry too. For not saying no clearly from the start. I should have been more direct. You were direct enough. I just didn't want to hear it. She dried her hands, turned to face me. Can I tell you something? Of course. The daycare? The one I said smelled like old carpets? Lily loves it. The provider is incredible with both kids. James is sleeping better. Lily's learning Spanish. And I'm actually enjoying work again because I'm not constantly guilty about dumping my kids on my mother. So it worked out. It did, because you forced me to find a real solution instead of an easy one. We joined Brian and the kids in the living room. Lily was showing Brian a drawing she'd made, something abstract with lots of purple. James was trying to eat his own feet. These moments, Emily said quietly, this is what I want with them. Not the grind of daily childcare, the good moments. That's what grandparents are for. The good moments. The cookies and parks and spoiling. Not the exhaustion. You're going to be the best grandma. I already am. The Alaska cruise was everything I'd imagined and nothing I'd expected. The glaciers were bluer than photos could capture. The whales breached so close to the ship that Carol grabbed my arm and screamed with delight. We stayed up too late drinking wine and laughing about things that weren't even funny. We met other women our age, all of us rediscovering ourselves after decades of being defined by others. On the last night of the cruise, Carol and I stood on the deck watching the midnight sun turn the ocean gold. You did it, she said. Did what? Chose yourself. I know how hard that was. It was the easiest and hardest thing I've ever done. Emily texted me, asked if I thought she'd ruin things with you. What did you say? I said growing pains aren't the same as growing apart. My phone buzzed, a photo from Emily. Lily and James wearing I Love Grandma t-shirts, holding a sign that said, "Welcome home, we missed you." I showed Carol. See? We're good. You're better than good. You're free. She was right. For the first time in my adult life, I was completely, utterly free. Free from guilt, from obligation, from the constant feeling that I owed everyone pieces of myself until there was nothing left. I'd been a daughter, a nurse, a wife, a mother, a caregiver. I'd worn each role like a uniform, sometimes all at once. And now I was just Margaret, 64 years old, survivor of marriage and motherhood and grief, lover of teal couches and yellow curtains and cruise ships, grandmother on my own terms. The night I got home, Emily called. How was it? Perfect. I want to hear everything. Come over for dinner tomorrow? I'll be there. And Mom, I'm taking you out for your birthday next month, wherever you want to go. I want to go to that new Italian place downtown. Done. It's a date. After we hung up, I unpacked slowly, putting away clothes that smelled like ocean air and adventure. I found a rock in my jacket pocket, smooth and gray, picked up from a beach in Juneau. I'd grabbed it without thinking, some instinct to hold on to a moment. I set it on my kitchen windowsill, right between the yellow curtains. Tom's picture was on the counter, the one from our wedding day. Young and hopeful, and certain that love would be enough. And it had been. Love had been enough to build a life, raise a daughter, survive the ending. I kept my promise. I told his photograph. I'm living. Outside, the sun was setting. The kitchen was golden. My phone was quiet. The house was mine. And I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Not in the past, not in someone else's definition of who I should be. Just here, just now, just me. 64 years old and finally free.